thing. It's trying to get in the meeting, trying to get
I
out of
clicked
it.
deny a couple minutes ago, and now it just keeps flashing at me at the top of my screen.
That thing's a pain.
All right, it is 6:30. I don't know what I'm trying to read. All right, good morning. Welcome to another Friday morning safety meeting. Today is the 29th of May, so we're coming into June very, very quickly, which is hard to believe. This week we are 10 days without a recordable injury, 11 days without a first aid injury, and 1 day without an at-fault vehicle incident. And that's what we're talking about today. So it just so happens that this week's code item of the week is drive safely, defensively, and courteously. As I pulled this little caption right from the email last night, our biggest exposure to the public is out on the roads, drive professionally. And I know normally I don't do this part during the meeting these days, but Mr. Dow, do you have anything to add on that before we get into the meeting?
I do. You know, drive safely, defensively, and courteously. It's really important. It's our image out there. But more importantly, this week, going back to some of the things that happened this week, it's really awesome when we look out for each other. We've had a couple of situations this week where fellow employees have looked out for each other, and that's pretty awesome. Keep each other safe and help each other.
That's the most important thing. It's important to remember that driving safely is right in the code of conduct. So obviously, because we just talked about it. So this week we had a pretty bad week. We drove 32,766 miles, which is obviously a lot of miles. We had one near miss, which is when we had a 15-gallon water jug fly off a truck and shoot across Shelburne Road at 8:20 in the morning the other day. So obviously that's like a 125-pound bowling ball going across Shelburne Road. Unfortunately, there weren't any pins there to hit, but had that hit a kid or something waiting at the bus stop right there, that could have been really bad, right? Yeah. So we need to make sure that we're securing these loads. We damaged one rental light plant on a sign bridge this week. Once again, just not looking up, not looking down, not figuring out what we're doing before we're doing it. We have one destroyed runway light at the airport, and we had one complaint of aggressive driving with a dump truck through a work zone of another contractor in the area. So not a good week, but it's important to remember that we're driving 32,766 miles in a week. And like what I always say is, if you do something stupid once a day and there's 200 people working, then that means that we're doing that same stupid thing 200 times that day. That's 1,000 times that week. That's 4,000 times that month, 48,000 times, 50,000 times that year, right? So we can't be doing these silly little things that end up being a big issue 1 in 1,000 times, because we're going to hit that 1 in 1,000 time every week.
Kind of ties into last week's meeting about the dangerous attitudes or hazardous attitudes, those impulsive behaviors behind the wheel get us in trouble.
And we can always do better.
That's right.
Absolutely. And I hope my math, they say never do math in public. So hopefully that was correct. But so our most frequent securement issue is loose material. So that's loose materials that could cause injury or death. ECI spends thousands a year on windshields for other motorists. And actually this year we've been a little bit better than last year. So let's try to keep that up. Most often it's loose material on dump bodies, flies off, hits somebody's windshield, and then the windshield's $1,000, $1,200. Loose material frequently causes damage due to lack of tarping or damaged tarp. Sometimes a damaged tarp can be worse than no tarp at all, right? You want to walk around the truck, look for loose materials, tarp your load, inspect your tarp, verify proper securement of tailgates, and you want to make sure you're removing snow and ice during the wintertime. Small tools, and I think we can loop 15-gallon water jugs into this. Small tool and equipment tie down. Small tools and equipment pose challenges for securement. Oftentimes their weight is minimal, but the wind resistance they create can be substantial. Always tie down for the worst case scenario. Protect straps from sharp edges, especially we have a lot of these stake body style trucks out there that don't have tailgates on them these days. It's obviously a lot more difficult to secure something in that than it is in a pickup truck that has a closable tailgate. You want to, whenever possible, you want to use at least 2 straps. That just gives you some contingency, and we'll get into the strap requirements a little bit further down the road. Bungee cords should only be used for positioning and not to secure anything. And once again, our annual reminder of do not tie down coal chutes with bungee cords. Once we get into the heavier equipment or heavy equipment and heavy materials, we want to use chains preferably, unless there's a reason not to for whatever we're moving. During load shift, even with strap protection, straps may get damaged, leading to complete failure of the tie down. We want to strive to use manufacturer designed tie down points, especially on equipment. It'll be marked. We want to use that, not anything else, unless we have to. We want to use straps and chains, should be pulling against one another and towards the trailer, bed, or body of the vehicle. We want to prevent load shifts, load loss, and ensure retention during a crash. And I always say, if you're going to be hauling something heavy, I always like to tie it down really tight at the shop. And then I like to go over to one of the fuel depots and check what I'm hauling again and make sure everything's still tight, because that little bit of bouncing and stuff between the shop and the fuel depot is going to kind of loosen everything up, shake it out a little bit, and then you can tighten it down more. And then once again, anytime you stop after that, you want to check your load. So once we get into kind of the number of tie downs required, it's a little bit more getting into the rules and stuff like that. Working load limits is something that people ask about all the time. The big thing is that you need to have enough force going down onto the trailer, and your working load limit needs to be your working load limit of a chain. Let's say your chain's rated for 24,000 pounds. Working load limit on that's going to be 8,000. I have a chart down here a little bit further, but if you just shoot for, you have the ability to go half of the working load limit for the load of what you're hauling, but under most circumstances, let's just shoot for, if you have 8,000 pounds worth of working load on your straps, 8,000 pounds of what you're hauling. Let's go 1 to 1. So 3/8 chains are most common thing, and that's going to be 8,800 pounds working load. Make sure whenever we're moving equipment that we're qualified to do it, not qualified, but we're competent to do it. If you have any questions, Brian's around, Ken Ferno's around, these guys are around. They have way, way more experience with this than I do, or you probably do, or anybody else here. So just make sure that we're asking, using our resources and talking to them. Same thing with the equipment haulers. Those guys are always doing this. They're good at what they do, and they can help us if we have any questions. You have special considerations in the CFRs for concrete pipe, steel coils, logs, and large boulders. And once again, if you're in doubt, just ask somebody. We have some awesome resources around here that know a whole lot. And we want to check down your tie downs frequently while driving. So I'm going to stop sharing if anybody has anything to add on that.
Yep, just please sweep off your trailers before you head down the road. Quarry trailers, big trailers. We get a lot of calls. It's probably our most frequent call is windshield damage on the interstate. Granted, it's mostly road debris. But it's just nice to know when there's definitely no video of us kind of losing rocks out of a truck or off a trailer for those calls.
Also in the crib, we have plenty of straps. I borrowed a couple out of a bin. They had a huge bin in there when I was in there last week. So there's plenty of straps out there. And they also have those, Elliot and Billy have those protection little plastic 90-degree protectors for if you put a strap on something that has a sharp edge.
You know, something to this happened to me in Massachusetts, but I actually got into an accident on the interstate because something flew out of the back of a guy's car or truck, and he was at fault at the end of the day. So it's something to keep in mind.
Yeah, scary ones. I saw a washing machine, or I think it was a dryer, came out of a pickup and almost hit me one time on the Winooski Bridge. The guy didn't have it strapped in and it sucked it right out. Okay, is my screen sharing? It's not showing the ribbon around it.
We have it on our end.
Okay. Usually shows a red ribbon. Okay, drive defensively, safely, defensively, and courteously. Good topic for this week. ownership topic. I don't know if you guys hopefully read these. I think they're meaningful. Basically, this one's about practicing what we believe in. In a nutshell, it builds trust, it builds accountability, and it also builds pride. The best way to show integrity is to make sure that our actions match the values and standards that we all believe in. When our words and our actions match, we do build trust with each other, respect and accountability across everyone's team out there. So set a good example and do the right thing, living by our shared values, and that's our code and our standards that we always talk about every week. Those build a better workplace and they reduce the stress. Everyone knows the stress when we're going against our gut and we're going against what we know is right. That is a very stressful situation that causes a lot of frustration for people in their lives when you're going against what you feel is right. I think the good thing about being here at ECI is that most of the people that work here believe in our standards and they believe in our that we're doing the right in integrity and doing the right thing. So when that matches, that makes for a lot easier way to get through life. So that being said, let your actions reflect the standards and values that we hold dear. It's going to build better relationships with each other, and it's going to create a workplace that we can all succeed in. So as employee owners, we owe it to ourselves and to each other to live what we believe in. Remember, integrity is more than words. It's a choice that we have in all of our actions that reflect our standards. So practice what we believe in, and we're going to build that culture, going back to that trust, respect, the accountability, and the pride that we all have in what we say and do. It is a pride that we have when we drive a blue truck. It's been that way for me for 38 years and for a lot of other people out there for a long time. But it's our own actions and our own practices that make that what it is. I have a notice here. I got this from Mr. Furno. I think Mr. Furno's not on.
I'm on with you.
Yeah, hopefully I did a good. I kind of summarized it a little bit differently. Do you want to talk on this, Ken?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I can
Go
talk
for
on it
it.
really quick.
Yeah.
We're coming to the end of the big trucks are under a portion plate, so they all expire at the end of May. And with that, their permits expire, their heavyweight, the New Hampshire decal permits all expire. So we're going to be out there switching these over. We put them into booklets. They're so expensive to register and do the permits and stuff like that. We can't just throw these documents into a cubby in a truck. We want to be able to have them tangible, something a driver can grab, something a driver should be able to grab during a pre-trip really quick, just to make sure that they've got the right permits and the right registrations on board. So they are all from a suggestion a few months ago. We put them all in booklets. We're going to be swapping those out. The dump trucks and the log trucks will end up getting their New Hampshire decals for heavyweight. Some of the dump trucks end up getting a hazardous waste decal that's flipping over. But it's going to be pretty hard to catch everything. So all the help I can get on these trucks, if you're stopping by the office or something on Monday or even today, Brian can probably help you get the book for that truck. I'm going to basically take that book, put in the new book, pull out, if there's an old book in there, pull all the old stuff out and get them all up to speed.
You get quite a list of trucks. I listed your trucks in case people want to. If you have that truck, get with Ken and Brian, and they can help you, or you can help them. We can help each other get these things done. It looks like a little
We
bit
actually
of work.
found we were missing one more yesterday that was
Yep.
on an old fleet. That's actually where I'm headed this morning down to DMV to swap that truck over. So DD25 should be on there too.
Oh, okay. Yep. Good enough. Well, thank you, Ken. Good piece of information for us. And I didn't put the amount of money we spend on these things, but I think it's a huge amount, isn't it? For these registrations and permits. Um, just one of your visits can cost as much as some of people's salary for the year. Okay, thanks, Ken. Mr. Forster, are you on?
Yes, I am.
Would you like to drive, or would you like for me to drive?
You can scroll. I'm going to summarize.
I just so you know, I did put this in as you wrote it, so I didn't take anything out. He doesn't trust me sometimes. I try to shorten things, so I didn't this time.
I appreciate it. I'll keep it short, but I want the information to be out there at least.
Yes, agreed.
So we've seen an increase in use of these water-filled attenuators. They're nice because they're a small profile and they are a lot easier to set up than the sand-filled ones we used to use. But with that increased use, we're also seeing a lot more damage and them showing up damage to the site, which then makes them unusable and guys running back to the shop. So aside from wasted time, each individual little module costs about $2,000 to replace. And the whole thing is over 9,000 with shipping and everything together. So it's quite an expensive component that we use frequently, and that's just the material costs, not let alone all the other costs associated with it. So I just wanted to go over a couple of proper handling requirements. There are what appear to be fork pockets in the middle of these modules. Those are not fork pockets. Those are tie down locations. The fork pockets are at the very bottom. So when you go to pick these up with forks, which is the only way to move them if they're loaded, only pick them up from those bottom pockets. They are labeled. Some of those labels are coming off over time, but just please keep that in mind. Empty modules, you can lift with some nylon straps, but again, please do so from the bottom. Don't push. Once you have these set up and filled, please avoid pushing them with forks, buckets, or other equipment. They're not like Jersey barriers, which again, you should also not do that with because those are also expensive. But pushing these around, they are plastic. They're liable to crack, especially on cold days. And once they're cracked, they're generally useless because they don't hold water anymore, which is where the attenuation comes from. You can move, like I said, you can move filled ones. Just pick them up from the bottom. And don't stack filled modules. But if they are empty, you can stack them as high as 3 if you're trying to save space on your site. When you go to set them up, please plan ahead. Verify you've got a water source. You need about 660 gallons for one whole sled setup, which is 4 of those barrels. Do not set them up at night or at the end of your day and not have water on site. That's a huge liability issue. We'll go into that in a second. Review the attachment instructions, please. They're in the manual. If you have a question, you can call me, but there's a specific bolt hole pattern that we need to abide by. And we've been leaving these end attachment components fitted to Jersey barriers, and Tim at the pit does a nice job separating them out. If you plan on using a water attenuator, like I said, plan ahead, give Tim a call, let him know what Jersey barrier you're looking for, and he can quickly go check to see if we have that already attached. That'll save you time having to drill your own holes. It'll save us drilling a whole bunch of barriers that we don't need, but definitely plan ahead, check with Tim, and then ensure that they're all pinned together.
Yep.
And so down here, the last little bit, this is a minor nuance, but again, it's important. If you look at the black and white stripes on this barrier, this one's installed incorrectly. They basically point traffic in both directions on either side of the attenuator. If you flip this over, it has stripes pointing Ben, if you scroll down just a little bit.
Yep.
If you look at this one here, it's got stripes pointing down to the bottom right. That water truck is actually sitting in a closed lane that'll be opened at the end of the day. And that signifies to traffic they need to be on that water truck side of the barriers. If you rotate that 90 degrees, then it'll be pointing in the other direction. So last thing to check is make sure that's installed correctly. Again, it's very important that all these devices be installed per the manufacturer specifications. Because if the public hits these and somebody gets hurt, a lawyer is going to, not only do we want to make sure the public is safe and our employees are safe, but from a liability standpoint, they're going to look for anything that is not set up correctly, whether it might be the signage on the barriers, whether the barriers weren't filled. It's just, it puts us at a huge risk, and we already do so much risking our lives to perform our work. I'd hate to put ourselves at even more risk when it's avoidable.
Mm.
So storage requirements, make sure they're drained, reinstall the drain plugs. When you go to pick them up at the pit or here from the yard, make sure those drain plugs are installed. They're just standard bung holes. You can go buy one at the store. Keep a T-pin with every one attenuator when you send it back. And like I said, the Jersey barrier attachment plates should either remain with the Jersey barrier or with the modules themselves. I keep finding them scattered throughout the yard. I try to get them back all together, but it's really not helpful when people are hunting those down. So please, thank you for your attention to this.
Mhm.
And I hope we can have a good year. I'm going to buy a bunch more. So if you have needs and you find yourself needing these and they're already out, we can always buy more. We just want to continue to maintain them. And over the course of the next week, we found some repair instructions. We are going to try to repair the ones we have. Let the guys, if you do break one by accident or something happens, let us know. We can fix them. It's definitely more helpful to fix them ahead of time than it is to send them back broken, unlabeled, and then have somebody find out on site that they are broken when they go to use them.
Thanks, Phil. Good information on those.
Phil, I have a question.
Yes.
Go for it.
What do we do in the winter?
In the winter, there are mixing instructions for salt or antifreeze, depending on what comes easiest. But there is a mixing ratio for adding salt to these barriers because obviously they are filled with water. So very important to mix correctly. All that's available in the manual if you look them up, or I can read that information off to you if you're in the field and you don't have good service or access to internet. Don't know it off the top of my head though.
Yeah,
And how do you know how many you need in an array?
In an array, it's actually written on top of them. It's based on the speed limit. 62 miles and under is all four in an array. I would recommend you just, if you're unsure, set up all four. They don't take, besides a little bit more water, you need a couple less Jersey barriers. But it is actually labeled up on top of each barrier. It says how many you need for the speed limit zone that you're in.
Thank you.
So
Yep.
this would be part of your traffic control setup, right? You guys
Exactly.
would submit this too? Yeah.
You would, yes. At most jobs, some
Yep.
you may not need to, but regardless of whether it's part of a plan or not, if you're going to use them, you need to use them correctly.
So that question that Ben had, imagine at the end of the season, we've had them up for a while and then all of a sudden it starts freezing. I imagine that would be a bad thing if somebody ran into one that was a frozen up ice block.
At that point, they may as well just run into a Jersey barrier. Exactly. Yeah. Yep. And that's
a
why
liability.
there is a ratio for how much salt you need to
Yeah.
add to a barrier to keep it from freezing.
Yeah. Good point. Thank you, Phil.
Yep.
Any other questions? When in doubt, we know who to call now.
That's right.
Mr.
Yeah.
Mr.
Don't
Forster.
hesitate, please.
He's did a good job on putting this together. So you can always go back and refer to it and give him a call if you have any other questions. So this one, I'm going to ask for a little bit of help from Mr. McKinney on. I got this from the payroll people asking for more information on their time cards and descriptions. But this payroll reminder is mostly for, it actually refers to job 2A, correct, Ben? Ben, are you on?
Yeah, that's right. This is about job 2A. So
Yep.
that's the job that our mechanics are using almost all their entire week.
Yep.
But some of our guys use it too. So if you're performing service work on your pickup or equipment, which could include cleaning, washing it, or doing light service or repairs in the field, we're going to use 2A as well. But it's really important when we use that 2A time, that job number, that we put the vehicle number down. So this isn't for a job. So if you go out and, are building a project with a 6-digit job number, continue to do what you're doing. I think almost everybody at this point is doing a really good job entering their equipment as equipment in the foundation. So you don't need to, also put that in notes, but for 2A you do. So if you go wash your truck and your description is washed truck, you should write the number washed truck 802.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you. Yeah. Good clarification. I didn't catch it. But I wanted to make sure we clarified that. More information is always better, but I want to be careful when we say you always will, write these things down. Always take good notes. Thank you, Ben. Okay, new employees. We got more this week. We have Dylan Cobb. He's with the paving crew, labor. Welcome, Dylan. I met him earlier this week. We've got Addie Hughes. She's an intern, project engineer. Probably is going to learn how to run a shovel as well. Welcome, Addie. Marlon Masso. He's on concrete. Saw him this morning, so he's here. That's good. Welcome, Marlon. Concrete labor. We've got Griffin. Griffin's working with bridge crew. Welcome to Griffin. And we also have Braden Rooney, heavy civil labor. And we do have a returnee. Welcome back, Ben. I saw you out there this morning, conversing with your crew. It's good to have you back. Ben Calero is back with the concrete crew. So that's a good number of people that have returned in the last or that have come. And also we've got several returnees this year that we're proud to have you guys back. I do have the information on the primary care wellness. Wellness is an important thing. You can click these links and get more information on it. If you're not in the wellness program, those of you that are, make sure that you are, hopefully if you're in the wellness challenge, you've been making progress. And I'm going to be talking with Matt Orzalak a little bit today. We're going to talk about how we're going to start getting ready for Matt to kind of verify the progress so that you can be, you can get the thumbs up for being in the drawing for that UTV that's been sitting out there as part of that wellness challenge. So that's coming up quick, mid-July. And once it gets a little bit closer, we'll announce, and we'll have a pretty cool day when somebody drives off with their UTV. Okay. Project of the week this week is by Ron Wallen. Ron? You on, Ron?
I am, Ben.
So Ron put this together. This was a job that you guys did down in New York. So it's one of those jobs that we don't really know about. We hear about it, but it's pretty cool if you can give us a little briefing on how this job went. And I can drive this if you'd like. Yeah.
Yep, you can drive, Ben. ECI was contracted by Genesee and Wyoming Railroad Services for a bridge tie rehab project in Rotterdam, New York. The work was performed on Bridge 207.11 over the Mohawk River on the Pan Am Southern Railroad. The bridge remained in service throughout the project, even though the railroad was extremely accommodating for the rail and tie work. But we did perform all the work between train traffic. Our scope of work included removal and disposal of all the bridge ties, dead section, and the mainline track. Removal of 1,440 feet of rail across the bridge, which was later reinstalled for the inner guardrail. We installed 492 new bridge timbers, 984 tie plates, 1,440 feet of new 115 jointed rail, and 620 feet of walkway and railing. Minus a few minor details, the bridge job's complete. We've got some timber disposal to deal with and some hook bolts to put in, but besides that, it's done and it went well. Here's just a side elevation of the bridge to give you an idea how big the bridge is, and a walkway and railing detail. It's the picture doesn't really do it justice, but the tie conditions on this bridge were terrible. The guys actually went and bought 3/4 plywood to cover a lot of the areas just because it was it was tough to find a safe spot to walk.
Yeah, you can see on the right-hand side there's some pretty big
Yeah, the
holes.
tree. Yeah, there's a tree growing on there on the dead track.
Hmm.
So that was the first thing we did, was removed all the ties on the dead track, which the guys are doing right there. And this is the first span that we started to replace. And as we took the deck ties out, we also had to clean the abutments and the center piers. So that's what the guys are doing there. And at this point, the rail had been changed, and that was the first span that the guys did with new ties. Here you can see the walkway grading is down, and the guys are working on bolting up the post for the handrail. And that's the finished product.
Wow, that's awesome. What a big difference.
Yeah, I'm sure everybody on the railroad was glad to see this one decked.
Ron, who
looked
did
at-
the fabrication on all those handrail angles?
We actually did that in-house this winter. We bought all the steel plane and then welded the angles, drilled the holes, and then sent it down to Massachusetts, had it dipped.
Nice.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Good job on that.
Hey, Ron, how many times did the FRA come out and inspect you guys?
Multiple times actually. And I never heard any complaints. They were good to deal with over there.
Yeah,
It was on like a weekly basis between FRA and DOT.
yeah, you guys did awesome.
Wow.
Good job on
And
safety.
everybody that I talked to from the railroad and all that stuff were extremely pleased with the safety that was going on there. So good job, guys, Greg and crew down there.
Yeah, you guys always work. It's like I asked Ron, I was like, hey, Ron, they don't shut the bridge down when you do the whole project, do they? And Ron just looked at me because they never do. These guys always have to work in windows. We don't just shut down railroads for them to work. You know, we can shut down roads and you guys get to work for weeks and weeks with a shutdown. But these guys, I'm always amazed at how you progress this work and then you keep trains going, which is what they did, which they didn't. You can't appreciate it unless you actually go out and watch them. Right? Good job.
The guys did a good job. This was probably it was the biggest bridge that I've ever had to deck, so I'm assuming it was for the guys also, and they did a good job.
You know, this is a nice photo, like that would be cool on the website when we talk about projects, like some of this stuff. You all know that we have a new website and we're trying to feature some of this stuff on there. So when you get good photos like this, it's kind of cool to see some of this. That just looks like the longest bridge ever when you try to see the end of it, Ron. It's like,
I'm sure it felt like that some days when the guys are putting ties in.
yep. Oh, good job.
Why is there 4 tracks, Ron?
Good question.
That's the inner guardrail. That's put there just if the train was to derail, it's designed to hold the train onto the ties.
Keeps it from
Ronnie,
going
Ronnie,
off.
it's actually it's a new, really, really small engine and train system that runs on that inner railing.
Cool. Good job. Thanks, Ron, for putting that together. Appreciate it. I found one from the old day from a few days back. To end on, paving in front of the Burlington Free Press. There's Daryl. And there's the Barbara Green, the AC paving logo on it, and that Mac could be
Billy
doesn't
Gardner.
look like that's Billy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is on the roller. I'm pretty sure that's
No,
Michael
that's
Bowdre.
That's Rick
Matt
Barnett's
Cochran.
truck.
Yeah, that's Barnett's truck with the red
Okay.
upper board on it.
All right.
Ricky.
Yeah, Matt
not-
Cochran on the paver.
Yeah.
Mike Beaudry on the roller.
Yep. Pretty cool. A lot of years later, and we still got some of the same guys out there. Still ticking, like Timexes. All right, I'll turn it back over to you, Tom, and you, Matt.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day. Have a safe day. Let's do really good with our driving next week. It's the safety or the code of conduct item to really focus on. So if you watch in a group setting, please kick over attendance to myself or Matt and enjoy your weekend.
Be safe.